So the Legend 10s aren't made with kangaroo leather, or leather in general for that matter, anymore. But does that mean that you just straight up shouldn't buy them and instead just stick with or stock up on your Legend 9s instead? Well, in today's video, I'm gonna compare the two boots and tell you what I think as a person who also really appreciates his solid leather boots. And also, I'll give you an alternative to these two that might just help you save 100 euros. But no matter which of the boots you prefer, remember that you can buy either of these, throw them in the cart via the link to Unisport right up there. And I swear, this was just sitting here, we didn't bring it to the pitch. But anyways, let's get going. And obviously there is a pretty big difference when it comes to the two uppers on the Legend 9 and 10, because natural leather and not natural leather. But anyways, the Legend 9s here have this one-piece full K leather forefoot and midfoot, which is soft and nice and plush and has this richness to it. Then of course it also has these memory foam parts for a little bit of a dampened touch, and finally also some micro texturing for a little bit of friction and grip on the ball. Now, the Legend 10, on the other hand, has the synthetic FlyTouch Plus material that Nike has spent a long time developing, which is essentially trying to, at least, mimic as many of the natural characteristics of K-leather as possible, but just with less of the overstretching and with a smaller water uptake compared to natural leather. Think Kangalite that Nike used many years ago, but just with 10 more years of research. But hold on, Jay. Isn't the Nike Tiempo supposed to be made with a natural leather upper? I mean, if we disregard the Nike Tiempo Legend 3 Elite, that has been the case on every single Tiempo going back to 1984. So, natural leather Tiempo, it kinda goes hand in hand. Not anymore, apparently, because Nike say that FlyTouch Plus here is a great alternative to natural leather, and according to their lab test at least, it actually scores better in the test results when it comes to softness compared to the natural K-leather upper on the Legend 9s. Which is nice and all, but it just leaves the question, does that extra softness make it a legit one-to-one substitute for natural leather, or does it just make it, you know, a really soft upper? I'll get back to that. But if we leave this more high-level discussion of FlyTouch Plus replacing kangaroo leather on the side for a little bit, how do the two boots compare when it comes to the fit? Well, to be honest here, both boots do a really good job in terms of that initial comfort and that enjoyment of just stepping into the boots and then just fitting because of how soft the uppers are straight out of the box. Now I will say though that the Legend 9 offers a bit more of that natural, unique richness of the material, plus it just moves and stretches and has it's got these nice little wrinkles when it bends and moves that you would only expect to get in a pair of kangaroo leather boots. And when you combine that with that lovely padded feel of the memory foam parts and a really good balance of the foam liner on the inside, well, you do just get a very plush and padded sensation where it feels like the boot just surrounds your foot very naturally in that very grandpa slipper-like way, where it is just undeniably, effortlessly comfortable, like you know natural K-leather boots to be. So that's hard to compete against, but to be fair, the FlyTouch Plus here on the Legend 10 is just incredibly, almost stupidly soft, as in you don't really get any of that usual synthetic material stiffness or rigidness in the Legend 10s. It just molds to the shape of your foot and is very malleable right out of the box. And it still feels as if it has a bit more of that structural integrity and tension in the material compared to the leather on the Legend 9s. Now, let me also be very clear here. I don't think the FlyTouch Plus at this moment is a viable, genuine replacement for the natural leather on the Legend 9s. And if you are a leather boot aficionado, you will be able to tell that this is not leather. I think it's gonna fool a lot of people because of how soft and how malleable it is and how effortlessly it just takes to the shape of your foot. But it is not leather. Let me be very clear. However, I do think that it's doing a very good job in terms of comfort and fit. And if I have to compare them and say which is better, I mean, the Legend 9s are really soft out of the box and they do only get softer as you break them in. But when it comes to the Legend 10s, it was my experience that they felt broken in for months and months right out of the box. It was just so easy to step into them. And I actually think that in terms of that immediate step in enjoyment, I like the Legend 10s just ever so slightly more than the Legend 9s, as weird as that sounds to say. So it is a brilliant upper, but if you are looking for that leather feel, this just ain't it. But it's awesome. I mean, both of them, it's just not the same. But aside from the two upper materials feeling different, there is also a bit of a difference to me in the way that the boots fit themselves, the shapes of the boots, where it feels as if the Legend 9 has a little bit more, I would say, width and wiggle room, especially in the forefoot, where it feels a little bit more, not loose, but there is a little bit of that coziness around the fit. Whereas the Legend 10 is a bit more snug and streamlined and narrow around the foot, especially in the midfoot and the forefoot. And especially the toe box just feels ever so slightly lower and tighter to the foot compared to the 9s. Again, it's not a bad thing, but just less cozy and maybe more, we're in performance mode, I'm gonna come a bit closer kind of way, if that makes any sense. And I will say that overall, if you like the shape and the fit in the Legend 9s, you're also gonna feel pretty much at home in the Legend 10s. At least if you can live with the fact that the 9s just feel as if they have a bit more body and bulk and boot to them. They're just a bit more solid compared to the slightly sleeker and more streamlined nimble sensation of the Legend 10s. Size-wise, I went through the size in both and I was pretty happy. So go with your usual Nike size if you want the Legend 10s and you should be pretty good. Oh, and side note, the Legend 10s weigh 6-7 grams less than the Legend 9s. They're both very light. But does that weight difference matter? Well, no, but now you know. But I also promised you a tip on how you can save some money and still get that lovely leather-like experience. Obviously, you can buy a Mizuno Morelli Neo Elite for 200 euros, but if you want to save 100 instead of 50 euros, there is also the Nike Tiempo Legend 10 Pro. And granted, it is not natural leather, but it still feels like something, in between the Legend 9 and 10, because it has that same shape and fit as the Legend 9 with that slightly roomier, cozier feel in the toe box. And then of course it has the FlyTouch Pro synthetic leather, which is almost as soft and good as FlyTouch Plus. Now obviously the materials aren't as nice and premium, but for the money you pay, I would say that the value for money in this is almost as good as in the Elites. Personally, I would take the Elites because of the way they fit, but it's great value. Now, when it comes to the touch, Nike obviously had a gigantic mountain to climb in terms of replicating that unique leather feel. And they have, to some extent at least. Because while the Legend 10 here, FlyTouch Plus, does feel nice and soft and elegant and, pretty effortless on the ball, you do also feel that the upper is a little bit thinner and just closer to the ball. And obviously the foam package behind the upper material itself, so FlyTouch Plus and the kangaroo leather, it will impact how padded and elegant it feels. But I definitely think that on the Legend 9, also because of the memory foam pods, you do have a little bit more that soft pillow-like, slightly thicker, padded, dampened sensation on the ball. Obviously you have the micro texturing, which is pretty grippy and gritty, but apart from that you get a very smooth, natural feel on the leather itself. Whereas on the Legend 10, well, yeah, you do get like this synthetic leather grain, which is cool and all, but it definitely does feel a bit more matte and sticky compared to the Legend 9s. And does it feel leather-like? Well, it does feel more leather-like than the Vapor Posit on the materials, but not really, if you really compare them. Now, if you want that slightly smoother feel, you can go to the United Pack version of the Legend 10s, but it's closer, but it's not leather again. So while FlyTouch Plus is a very great material on the ball, I enjoy it a lot. It's elegant, it's responsive. I think the choice also has to come down to how much you specifically want the feeling of leather on the ball. And then there are the Outsoles, which, I mean, yes, they have switched to fully conical studs instead of these almost full moon shaped studs on the Legend 9s. And yes, there are these two pressure zones that relieve a little bit of pressure and feel nice when you change direction and put that part of the foot down. But by and large, they feel the same. Solid outsole. So look, I understand if you are annoyed that Nike have replaced kangaroo leather with a synthetic FlyTouch Plus. And I understand that you might be ready to write the Legend 10 off already because of that. I'm with you. I'm also angry at a more basic level because is it really a Tiempo without having a leather upper? I'm not sure I think it is. But with that said, while I do think that the Legend 10 won't ever replace that magic of natural leather, I do also think that it's just a great boot, does really, really well and a lot of awesome things when it comes to fit, feel and comfort. And maybe I think it would have been a better idea for Nike to just, give the Tiempo line a bit of a break and call this the CTR 360 Maestro 4 instead. Because to me, that's what it is, and I think the boot would have been better received and perceived if they'd done that. Just it's an awesome football boot. But I think it really boils down to what you want. If you are looking for a leather boot, then for all its awesomeness, the Legend 10 just isn't the answer. So guys, which is the right boot for you out of the two? I think for me personally, I'm probably gonna go with the slightly more streamlined and snug fit of the Legend 10 and then get my leather fix from some other boot. But what about you guys? Let me know as always in the comment section right down below. Remember that you can still buy both of these boots in the link to Unisport right over there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, with the notifications on of course. And if you want to learn some new cool skills, hit the playlist in the bottom corner right there. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.